Uh, I pretty much, every chance I get, I talk about how the church is God's family. And as I was studying a little bit from 1 Timothy 5, I saw another implication that I don't think I'd seen before. Let's start reading at chapter 5, verse 1. We talked about this last time. Never speak harshly to an older man, but appeal to him respectfully as you would your own father. Talk to younger men as you would to your own brothers. Treat older women as you would your mother, and treat younger women with all purity as you would your own sister. Now, all of that is family language. Essentially, well, when you cut through any of my theological fog, pardon me, boy, my allergies are giving me fits. When I cut through any and all of my theological fog, what I see here is two things. One, because God has organized the church to be his family, it relates to itself the way a healthy family would relate to itself. In its best moments, in its best form, God's family is a healthy family. And then, in fact, he offers, and I don't think this was the big point of it, but it is a point that's worth us taking a look at, that he describes how, in a healthy family, how the members of that family relate to each other. Timothy, as a member of God's family, Paul says, treat older men with respect, the way you would the father, your father. All right, so one piece of how a healthy family functions is with respect. I wonder how many of the hiccups and crashes in families are the result of a lack of respect. Showing respect. You show respect because of your choice to show respect. That's a whole big deal, and I'm not going to take all the time to go deeply into it. Just that respect is a mark of a healthy family. Now, if respect is not present in a family, often the family doesn't even know. They just know. My experience is they just know everybody else is just stupid here. They're dumb and mean. And so I act mean back toward them. Bad plan. Bad plan. Okay, so the first thing is show respect. And then he talks about younger men. All right, these are our peers and brothers. Treat them as you would your own brothers. Okay. Go back to the very first word in that. Talk to younger men as you would to your brothers. First is respect. First mark. Second one is communication. There's all kinds of levels of talk. Everything from small talk and just down to real serious conversation. And everything in between. Yeah. Talk, communicate. And when you talk to younger men, talk to them as you would your brother. Now, in a healthy home, in a healthy family, how do you talk to your brothers? Again, it comes back to respect, but you realize we're peers here. We're generally equal. Are we all exactly alike, and do we all have great strength? And no, we've all got our own issues, but we're the ground is level for us. It's peer-to-peer talk. Okay. And then he says, treat older women as you would your mother. How do you treat your mother? Boy, that can be a problem. See, if you had the difficult, and I hesitate to use the word unfortunate, but it is unfortunate, experience of a mom who didn't know how to be a mom who was neglectful, a mom who was abusive. Wow, it's hard to think of. How would you treat the older women in the family of God, in your church community? How do you number one, you would always be on the defensive. And number two, you would do your best to stay clear of them. And I hate that. I hate it that people had moms like that. They exist in the world. And well, I try not to be cynical, but it feels like they are. I just see the collateral damage left behind from these kinds of moms in so many of the lives of men and women that I work with in my counseling practice. But in a healthy home, how would you treat your mother? It's in a way, it's how you treat your father, with respect. And I think because of how one of the roles of a mother in a healthy family is to nurture. When that nurturing happens, a natural response is affection. When the nurture takes place, affection grows. And part of it is because the child has a model of what affection looks like. And so in a healthy family, mom is treated with regard, respect, yes, and a unique kind of affection. So you don't have to be affectionate toward dad? No, that's not. Yeah, respect is number one on the list, okay? But yeah, affection is there. And yet, you just have to. I notice this. I sense it in my own life experience and in the lives of those I've worked with over, well, only 45 years. But there is just this special connection in a healthy family between mom and child. And I'll even go to the degree of saying there's a real special connection usually between sons and moms, which is often different than between daughters and moms. Well, I mean, that's just like one of the, oh, well, duh. But in a healthy family, there is respect, there is communication, and then there is affection. All right? And through the window of the relationships within that family, Paul illustrates what the church should be, how the church should be relating to itself, and he gives us a kind of a secondary insight into what a healthy family should look like. Okay, and then he goes on. Treat younger women with all purity as you would your own sisters. This idea of purity is countercultural is the word that comes to my mind, and that's really almost too soft. Our culture is not built around promoting purity. My sense is our culture is built around an appeal to your sensuality. Not every ad on TV has a poor, scantily clad woman in it. No, a lot of them do. And most of them, while it may not be an appeal to the sexuality of you, the viewer, it appeals to another, what can be an impure attraction and motive, and that is you can't be satisfied with what you have because we've got this and you don't have it yet, or you don't have enough of it, or you don't have, right? I have to be careful because I'll get on a tirade here. But the general world view of our culture is you don't have enough. You got to get more sex, whiter teeth, more cars, better grown produce at whatever grocery store you go to. More, better. It's kind of okay. When Paul writes to Timothy here, I think there's a direct connection with a kind of purity. Treat younger women with all purity, as you would your own sisters. Meaning, consider the situation that Timothy was in. A young man, as far as we know, unmarried, he's not a eunuch. He still has testosterone all around circulating in his bloodstream, and the pressures of ministry. It's very tempting for a man in that situation to think of younger women in an impure way. Well, I am not saying that every pastor, minister, staff member at a church who is an unmarried young male is a horn dog and they are constantly all over every woman in the church with their eyes. That's not what I'm saying. But what Paul is saying is be conscious so that you can treat those younger women with all purity. Test your feelings toward them. Test your motives. Be conscious and aware that you may feel attracted to a younger woman as the younger pastor. Is that evil? I don't think it's evil, but even if that attraction legitimately ends in marriage, you must consciously cooperate with God so that you treat them with all purity. A lot can be said about that, and I've already said probably more than needs to be said. But now let's step back and look at what kind of model does Paul appeal to in terms of families and God's family. First of all, there's respect. This is a mark. Respect. Second, communication. Third, affection. And fourth, purity. When you think about what would make any family healthy, those four things, if those four things are playing out and expressing themselves, you're going to have it's hard for me to imagine that you won't have a healthy family. Not perfect, only healthy. So my challenge is look at your own life, your own family, your own relationship within the church you're a part of. How you doing? How do you feel about that? What do you think about that? Well, that's enough. I got to close. I'll see you next time on Soul Care with Stevie Boy.